A young man named Nadim, crushed by poverty, was forced to sell his wife for 1 month. A formal agreement was made, and in return, he received a small sum of money. The man to whom his wife was pawned was so old and repulsive that even a goat would run away at the sight of him. He had no teeth and reeked of filth. Despite his condition, this disgusting old man spent his nights with a beautiful young woman who looked like a princess. But what happened next? Did the woman return to her husband, or did she spend the rest of her life trapped by that old monster? This is a shocking true story that will leave you speechless, so make sure you stay with it until the end. Nadim, a traveler, had set out from his village with his wife Rubina in search of work in another city. After traveling all day, as they approached the new city, a group of masked bandits attacked them. They stole everything the couple had: money, belongings, even their clothes and food for the journey. The bandits disappeared, leaving the husband and wife alone, empty-handed, in an unfamiliar place. Nadim was devastated. He kept wondering how they would survive in an unknown city without a penny. Holding Rubina's hand, he walked quietly toward the city. In his heart, he asked, "What now?" There was no job, no shelter, no food. With each step, his despair grew. As they walked, Nadim spotted an old fakir, mystic, sitting under a shady tree. He thought perhaps this old man could help, so he approached him with Rubina and humbly told him their entire story. "Baba saying, we've been robbed of everything. We have no food, no water. Please help us. We won't forget your kindness for the rest of our lives." The fakir looked at Nadim with sympathy and said, "Son, I have nothing myself, but I know a generous businessman named Seth Iqbal who helps the needy. Go to him. Tell him your story. Perhaps God will soften his heart for you." Nadim thanked the fakir and walked with Rubina towards Seth Iqbal's house. Rubina was exceptionally beautiful and innocent, so much so that anyone who saw her would be left mesmerized. Trusting in his own sincerity, Nadim reached Seth Iqbal's doorstep. Seth Iqbal was immediately taken by Rubina's beauty, but Nadim was unaware of his lustful intentions. Humbly, Nadim said, "Seth Sahib, please be kind and lend me a small amount of money." Seth Iqbal, a strict man, replied, "I don't give loans without collateral. Do you have anything valuable to offer?" Nadim's heart sank. He had nothing and no jewelry, no valuables. After a long pause, he said, "Seth Sahib, I have nothing. I only beg you humbly for help." The Seth replied coldly, "Business has rules. I can't lend you money on empty words." Crushed by circumstances, Nadim finally said, "Seth Sahib, you may keep my wife Rubina as collateral. Give me some money in return, and I will pay you back soon after starting a business." Seth Iqbal was delighted to hear this. He already desired Rubina. He handed Nadim the money and kept Rubina in his house. That night, Seth Iqbal silently crept toward Rubina's room. As he opened the door, Rubina trembled in fear and screamed, "For God's sake, Seth Sahib, leave my room." But Seth, blinded by lust, said gently, "Rubina, for a woman like you, the world can be sacrificed. Forget Nadim and become mine forever." Despite her fear, Rubina didn't give in. She cleverly replied, "If you truly want me to stay, at least give me a few days to think." Thinking she was softening, Seth gave her some time. Meanwhile, Nadim left to start a business with the borrowed money. He began buying onions cheaply from farmers and selling them at a profit in other cities. Within a few weeks, his hard work paid off. God blessed his effort, and he began earning well. Nadim was hopeful and excited that soon he would repay the debt and bring Rubina home. Eventually, he returned to Seth Iqbal's house, heart full of hope. Politely, he said, "Seth Sahib, I've come to repay the full amount with interest. Please return my wife Rubina." But Seth Iqbal sighed in faint sorrow, "Brother Nadim, I have something painful to tell you. About 2 months ago, Rubina fell severely ill. Despite efforts and medicines, God had other plans. Rubina has passed away." Nadim felt like the earth had slipped from under his feet. He stared blankly and walked away in shock. He went back to the spot where he had first met the fakir. The fakir saw him and asked gently, "Son, I heard your business was going well. Why do you look so sad?" With teary eyes, Nadim replied, "Baba saying, Rubina is no more. Seth told me she died of illness. I accepted my fate and came back silently. The fakir smiled faintly and said, "Oh innocent Nadim, you have been deceived. Rubina is neither dead nor gone. She is still alive and imprisoned in Seth Iqbal's house. If you want to save your wife, go immediately to Sultan Shamsuddin's royal court and seek justice. He is a righteous king and will surely help you." Realization dawned on Nadim. A spark of hope lit up inside him. He rushed toward the royal palace to plead his case before the just sultan. The fakir said in a stern tone, "So, this means you prescribe medicine without even examining the patient. That is an extremely strange and careless thing to do. If instead of medicine you had used spiritual healing, it's possible that the concoction you gave was what led to the death of the nomad's wife." Hearing this, the Hakim's face turned pale with fear. Clearing his throat, he said, "No, sir, that's absolutely not true. Why would I knowingly harm a patient? That would ruin my entire reputation." The fakir replied, "Say whatever you want now, but you were certainly negligent. For failing in your duty and endangering an innocent life, I sentence you to 50 lashes. Also, your face will be blackened, and you will be paraded around the city. Now this idea, will you speak the truth or shall I order the soldiers?" Hearing this, the Hakim began to tremble. He fell at the fakir's feet and pleaded, "Please forgive me. I confess everything. I never treated any patient of Seth Rafik. He gave me thousands of rupees and told me that if needed, I should give false testimony in his favor. I agreed out of greed. That is my crime." The fakir, in a serious voice, said, "You committed a crime, and for giving false testimony, you will be punished with 50 lashes." On this fakir's command, the soldiers immediately grabbed the Hakim and began lashing him in the court. With the very first lash, he screamed loudly, "Have mercy on me, Sultan. I will die." His painful screams echoed through the court. Seeing this, the faces of the other 4 witnesses, who had claimed to have buried the nomad's wife, turned pale. The fakir looked at them sharply and said, "So you're saying you buried this woman in the graveyard? Tell me, before burial, a body is washed and wrapped in a shroud. How did you do all this if the woman wasn't even dead?" The fakir Babasai asked, glaring at them, "Did any of you see Rubina's face or body when the funeral was being prepared?" The 4 men, drenched in sweat, were terrified. Trembling, one of them gathered courage and said, "No, sir. We never saw her face or body." Seth Iqbal himself prepared the body and ordered us to take it to the graveyard. We carried the bier blindly and buried it. The fakir sighed deeply and said with a firm tone, "So, you just assumed she was dead without checking if she was breathing or what condition her body was in? Didn't it occur to you that she might be unconscious or that Seth had wrapped something else to deceive you?" His voice grew harsher. "This clearly seems like a conspiracy. Without even seeing the body, you people declared a living human as dead and buried her. This isn't just negligence, it's a serious crime." Hearing this, the 4 witnesses were speechless. Beads of sweat glistened on their foreheads. They had already heard the screams of the Hakim being lashed. Now, hearing words like death sentence from the fakir's mouth, their limbs went numb. Their legs began to tremble, and their faces turned white. The fakir turned to Seth Iqbal with a sharp gaze. Seth's face had also turned pale, and he avoided eye contact. The fakir said in a loud voice, "Seth Iqbal, your false witnesses are already trembling with fear. Now you tell me, what punishment do you deserve for imprisoning an innocent woman in your home and deceiving her husband?" Seth Iqbal's lips trembled. He tried to speak, but no words came out, just stammering. The fakir said sternly, "I have every right to sentence you to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment, but if you immediately bring Rubina here to the court, perhaps there may be some leniency." The court fell silent. All eyes were on Seth Iqbal. On Sultan Shamsuddin's order, Seth quickly sent his servants home. In a short while, Rubina was brought into the court. As soon as she arrived, Nadim's eyes welled up with tears of joy. The fakir gently placed Rubina's hand into Nadim's and said, "Take care of your treasure." Then the fakir passed fair judgment. Seth Iqbal was sentenced to 5 months of imprisonment for giving false testimony and imprisoning an innocent woman. The 4 false witnesses were each sentenced to 100 lashes in public, to serve as a warning to all. Seeing this, Sultan Shamsuddin was astonished. With folded hands, he said, Babasai, the example of justice you have shown is truly priceless. You have taught me what real justice is. The fakir Babasai softly, yet deeply, replied, O noble Sultan, remember a ruler's greatest duty is not just to govern but to uphold justice. And a husband's greatest responsibility is to respect and protect his wife. Then the fakir gave 3 golden pieces of advice to the Sultan. First, when your wife is ill, never leave her alone. Just as she supports you in your joys and sorrows, it's your duty to stand by her in illness. Love and attention strengthen relationships. Second, if someone falsely accuses your wife, stand by her without fearing the world. A man's true character is shown by how he supports his life partner in difficult times. That is true love and companionship. Third, never leave your wife alone with a non-mahram man, even if he is a friend or relative. Times change, and wisdom lies in protecting your honor and relationships cautiously. Hearing this, Sultan Shamsuddin bowed his head with humility and promised, Babasai, I will follow all 3 of your teachings wholeheartedly and always make decisions in my court with justice and integrity. You have taught me the true value of leadership and relationships. Everyone in the court prayed for Babasai from their hearts, and thus, Nadim and Rubina happily began a new chapter of their lives.